Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the United States. Thanks so much for joining me. Happy Cinco de Mayo and happy Catalog Launch Day. Today, the May to August 2026 catalog went live. And it's a new era of catalogs. So instead of having one annual catalog and 2 mini catalogs, we will now be having 3 separate catalogs every year, in addition to our online exclusives, which are released every other month. So let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at who's on. Sorry, I was about a minute late because at the last second I thought, hey, maybe I better check to see if there's a new Facebook update, which hopefully will help us with our comments. And sure enough, there was, so I updated at the very last second. So here we are. Let's see what we have. If I can get the video up with your comments. And let's look. Hello, Cynthia. So glad you're here. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see if I have to keep refreshing like I have had to, or if this is just going to work. It would be really nice if Facebook got that all fixed. Okay, so also starting today with the new catalog was a new starter kit offer. So you can, for the regular $99 here in the US, you can choose up to $125 in product. Now those products are all your choosing. Stampin' Up! Does not pick them for you. You pick them for yourself. And if you choose this starter kit, you can choose to get all 5 of the new Easy Open Magnetic in color Stampin' ink pads, okay? Or you could choose to get an additional $35 with your starter kit. So that would be $160 worth of products of your choosing for only $99. The ink pads, when you purchase them in a bundle, are $63. So this is definitely the better deal. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to refresh the comments because I see got one person on, and that seems to be what we have. So we're good. Okay, so we can take a look inside the catalog. We also have a May online exclusives, and here in the United States, that includes the Silly Old Bear Suite. It is not available in the other markets that we are in, and that is simply due to copyright issues. Okay, so if you haven't gotten a copy of the online exclusives product list, shoot me an email and I will send you one on over. Okay, so like I said, this started today. It's a little bit different from what we're used to. When you open this up, you've got some new and trending products right away that are shown here. Oh, not this. This is my little bookmark I made the other day. Okay. And then you've got a table of contents right here on page 4. So if you want to look for Sweet Collections, it tells you to go straight to page 16. If you want to go to Tools and Inks, go straight to page 74. Then we've got some Product of the Month things, paper pumpkin kits. Shelley Gardner is the co-founder and board chair of Stampin' Up! And she'll tell you what her faves are. And then we've got Step by Step, and that's our kit collections. Then we've got Quick and Easy. This just gives you a a once over kind of things that you would need to make some quick and easy projects. All right, and then they give you some ideas here. And then you get to create your way. And right here on this page, on page 15, it shows you all of the suites that are included in this catalog. From the suites, we go to bundles. And what I want you to notice here is that if there's a stamp and die bundle that's included in a suite, it is shown right here, okay? It also tells you what page to go look at for a larger image of the stamp set and the dies. The page numbers are listed there. So then when you go to the stamps, it'll show you that. It also shows you that it's part of a bundle or a suite. In this case, it's part of a bundle and a suite. That's all there. And then you'll go to the dies. The tools like your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine are on the page right before the dies are shown. Embossing folders you've got here. Now, this is not our entire collection of dies or embossing folders. There will be more in the online exclusives in the online store. So if you don't find something that you're looking for in the catalog, check the online store in online exclusives. Here we've got all the papers. Tells you what colors are in the papers, shows you a little glimpse of each sheet of paper. Then we've got our specialty papers, and then we have mix and match. Okay, this is for a lot of it for memory keeping. So you've got your memory keeping stuff here, your mix and match. These are easy little greetings that you can just throw on a card real easy. Mix and match designer series paper. Here's your embellishments. There's a whole page of adhesives. There's a key down here on what the adhesives are best for. Then you've got tools and inks, all the things that go with that. And then these are coloring tools, and then we get into our coloring collections, okay? And this is just going to give you all of the things that you can buy in each color. One thing to note in your catalog, in the in color here, your catalog shows that the in color 8.5 by 11 cardstock is only $11.50. That is a misprint. It should state $14, just like all of the other 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock in the catalog. Okay, and then following that, you have an index. So if you're looking for a particular item and you can't find it, you just go look in the index and it'll tell you what page to go to. That's a very brief overview of the new catalog. We're going to get started today with, we're going to use two different bundles. And actually for this first one, we're going to use the Sweet Collection. We're using Silly Old Bear Sweet Collection, and that is the Sweet Old Friends Stamp and Die Bundle. And then you've got the Sweet Words Stamp and Die Bundle. Even if you're not into Pooh, this I highly recommend. Okay, so we've got that. And of course, for my envelope, I'll be using Addressed to You. No shocker there. Okay, before we get started with today's actual card, I'm going to show you some things that I have already made or others have made along with me. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. All right, hello Laura. Apparently, I'm going to have to keep clicking to update the comments still. Apparently, that has not been fixed. Okay, so this card was designed by my friend Tracy. She actually had another layer in here that I didn't use. With the Sweet Friends. And then this is the Bloom Boutique paper has all 5 of the in colors in it. You'll see the 100 Acre Wood embossing folder in the background there. And then I made this live last week, so you can go back and check that out. You'll find a video on my YouTube channel for this. And this uses Filled with Sweetness along with the Sweet Friends. And then here's a quick card. This one's not quite finished, but this uses the Sweet Word. Actually, it uses both bundles from the Silly Old Bear collection and the 100 Acre Wood embossing folder. And then finally, I made these boxes for our catalog launch at an in-person event. And this particular one uses all of the supplies from the Sweet Bear collection. This is the designer series paper for Silly Old Bear. And then, so that's cut out. We've used the dies from the Sweet Words and Labels. I've used the 100 Acre Wood embossing folder on there. And the one thing I really didn't use on here was the stamp set, because I used the designer series paper as the focal image instead. Okay, and then, as is my custom, I love to make the shrinky dinks, and so I made these little keychains, and this uses the Sweet Friends and then the Sweet Words and Labels set, along with the new in colors for some coloring. All right, so let's get started on our project now that we have set. And Mossy Meadow is my ink of choice here. We're going to start with, oh, did I not? Oh, yes, I did. Okay, so we've got a pecan pie card base, and this piece of pecan pie is 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 1 1/4 and 4 1/4, and then I've folded at 4 1/4 as you would your regular card, and then folded back that 1 1/4 section for the front. Okay, so we've got that. And let's see. Hello, Jennifer. Okay. So to go along with that, then, I've taken a piece of the Silly Old Bear paper, which, let me grab that real quick in case you haven't seen it. These are the piece. I've got a lot of extra stuff in here. So this is the paper. This particular sheet of paper here, all of the images on this paper cut out with the dies from this collection. And then we've got another sheet. These you would have to fussy cut. And on the back is this neutral pattern, and this is the sheet that I used to make my boxes. So the dies cut out all of these images here from the Sweet Words and Labels, and that's the back. And then we've got, let's see what's on the back of this. Let's get a better sheet of that. Here is a quick and easy card front. You just cut these apart and put a sentiment or stick some characters on there, and your card is good. And on the back of that is a hydrangea hue pattern of all of the characters. And finally, then, we have this piece, and on the back of that is a Barely Blush gingham pattern. Okay, so that is the paper that is in the suite. Okay. So that's where this came from, and this has this foresty background on the back of it. So we're going to use this, and I need to cut this. And I chose to wait and show this as you go. So what I'm going to do here is I need a 1 1/4 inch piece for my inside here. So I'm going to cut off 1 1/4 inches. Okay, now this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut off 1 1/4. And then I'm going to cut 1 inch for this section here. And that's going to leave me 1 3/4 inches, and I'm going to put it right here. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start with the inside piece. And I'm just going to line this up so that I have a even border on 3 sides. Okay. And then we'll add this piece. This is a 1 inch by 5 1/4 inch. And I'm going to put that right here. Like this, and just center that with, try to center it with an even border on all 4 sides. Okay. And finally, we're going to add this piece, the 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. Okay. And this this isn't going to cover this whole piece. I'm going to put this with an even border on 3 sides on the left-hand side of this card. Because when we fold this flap down, you're not going to see this piece anyway. Okay? So we've got that. Now, we need 2 pieces of Very Vanilla that are 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. This is going to be the inside of my card. And I'm going to put this piece right here. And what I've done is I've taken a sentiment from the Sweet Words and Labels and stamped that in the Mossy Meadow, and then I added a little bit of Mossy Meadow ink blending to the bottom of that, and you'll see why here shortly. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here and center it between the Designer Series paper and the score line on this card. Okay. And now I need a piece for here, or I could choose to leave this and just put a blank Very Vanilla piece here. But I chose to take a piece of Very Vanilla, 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. I ran this through the 100 Acre Wood embossing folder. And of course, you can put this wherever you want. The thing that you need to know about the 100 Acre Woods 3D embossing folder, this is a 6 by 8.5 inch folder. It's a 3D, so you need plate 1 and plate 4. And then the pattern runs in the landscape position, in the direction. If you put this in portrait, everything's going to be on its side. So you need to keep you need to think about which way your pattern needs to go on your card. So in this case, I needed this to go like this. So I just stick this in here. Doesn't matter where you put it. You make the choice. Okay. And then I took a blending brush and some Mossy Meadow ink, and I just rubbed a little bit of ink on my trees. Okay. And then I went back with a dark crumb cake Stampin' Blend, and I used the side of my brush tip and I just went down those tree trunks just to give them a little bit of definition, which will add some interest to the inside of our card. So we're just going to take and put this down. And sometimes your seal, usually I use liquid glue, Tombow liquid glue, so it doesn't rip my paper. I don't know why I didn't grab it this time, but I didn't. So we're just going to open that up, and that's what the inside of our card is going to look like. Okay? All right, so now we need to decorate the outside. And to do that, I've taken a piece of pecan pie, and from these Sweet Words and Labels, I've used this die here. It's not the largest, but the second largest of this particular shape. And I've cut that out of pecan pie. All right. Then we're going to take a scrap piece of, and I mean really a scrap piece, of Very Vanilla. This I had left over from another project. And I'm going to take my Mossy Meadow ink and my stamp from the Sweet Words and Labels. Mine is stained from making my Shrinky Dinks because I had to use Stays On. I'm going to turn that over because I have a spot on the back. Let's erase that off. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just going to stamp this down. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm going to cut this out. This just happens to be a scrap piece that probably wouldn't get used. So now I've got that. And then I'm going to take the coordinating die from the Sweet Words and Labels. And I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. And then I'm going to have this piece. Okay. Now I also took a piece of two-tone Old Olive cardstock. And this label here. And I cut out a piece of two-tone cardstock on the light side. This is Old Olive light side. And then I ran this through the 100 Acre Wood embossing folder, just to give it some texture. And then I did the same thing with the Mossy Meadow ink here and added in a little bit of ink blending. And then we're going to start putting this all together. So we're going to take our pecan pie. We're going to add our Very Vanilla piece. And this is going to show you how well all of these dies layer together. Okay, so we've got that. Then here we're going to add our Old Olive piece. And I'm adding all of these flat. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in there like that. And then we're done with these dies. So we can put those away. And then from the stamp set, which looks like this, we're going to pull the Pooh and Piglet, or of course, if you're making your own card, you use whatever images, characters you like. And I'm going to stamp that on a piece of Very Vanilla. And I'm also going to stamp from Sweet Words and Labels, Old Friends Are the Best Friends. And again, let's see, we're going to use Memento for the Pooh and Piglet. Okay, so I've got that. And then I'm going to use Mossy Meadow for my sentiment. I'm just going to put that right down here in the corner. And then we're going to color Pooh and Piglet. So for that, let's bring in our Stampin' Blends. And we are using some of the new in colors for this. So we're going to use Golden Glow Dark and Light for Pooh because it's perfect in color, in my opinion. And I'm just going to put some dark along these lines right here. A little bit in the corner there. And a tiny bit there and there. And then there. And then we'll go in with the Golden Glow Light. And we'll finish that off. And blend that all in. And you can tell this is a quick color. Just remember when you're using your Stampin' Blends to keep rotating your blend around so that you're not constantly using the same piece of the brush. That will protect your tips for a little bit longer. So we've got that. And then we're going to take Barely Blush Dark and Light. Okay. So again, I'm going to start with dark. I'm going to go over the artist lines, add a little bit here, some here. Okay, maybe a little at the base of his legs there. And then we're going to finish that off with the light. Okay. And then to color his outfit here, we're going to use Peaceful Pine. So again, I'm just going to put some dark at the edges here just to make this look a little rounded. And then we're going to finish that off with some light. Okay. Then we're going to take the coordinating die from the Sweet Old Friends. And we're going to cut that out. Okay. And then we're going to have this. All right. So I think what I didn't do ahead of time, I need to get a piece of the two-tone pecan pie cardstock. Actually, I think just threw that thing away. We're going to do a little bit of die cutting on this piece. I'm going to take this stick, and I'm going to take these two sign pieces. But before I cut these two, what I want to do is I want to make sure this is going to fit. Let's see if I've got a little bit wider piece down here so I don't have to struggle with that. Just a scrap that I have. Okay, so this is the dark side. This is the light side. I'm actually going to use the dark side, I think. No, I'm going to use the light side. I'm going to take our new white gel pens. This released today. And I'm going to take a look at my paper here, and I'm going to look at what's on the right and what's on the left. Okay, and so I've got my house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this sign up here like this. And then I'm going to go and write out my house. And then I'm going to put this piece down here. And I'm going to pick out, I need something small, so I'm going to go with bee tree. And as long as you write slow with these, you'll get a really good impression. And then make sure you click it fully in. So when it goes in, you need to hear that click. Okay? So we've got that, and then we've got this. And this is why I didn't cut this ahead of time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this My House down over my writing. I'm going to tape that down. I'm going to slide the bee tree. I'll slide that right over my bee tree. And tape that down. And then we'll bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I'm going to give this a quick update to see if I've got any more comments that I'm missing. Hello, Cher. Okay, so then we've got that. So I'm going to put plate 1 and plate 2 and stick those on there. And we're going to run that through. Okay, and now we've got our pieces. And even though I couldn't see through these little wood posts, I was still able to write on my signs. Now, I don't recommend writing on your signs afterwards because these are textured and it's going to be very bumpy. So this is how I did mine. So I still get my wood texture on there, and I still get my signs or my writing. Okay. So we are going to then take that other piece. I've got 2 more things here to do. We're going to fussy cut this out because I couldn't come out with another way to make this work how I wanted. So I'm just going to fussy cut this real fast. So we'll just fussy cut this. Move my paper, not my scissors. You can do this as detailed or as loose as you like. Okay, so now I've got my sentiment. But I didn't like this, because this is where my sentiment's going, and I wasn't keen on that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, and add a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm gonna stick this on here. I'm gonna give that just a second to dry. And while we're doing that, we're gonna go ahead and add this piece to our front. So I'm going to glue this on this piece only, this small little 1 1/4 inch piece. So I need to make sure that I don't have any glue on the right or the left, only right down the center. Okay? So what I found, one, you're not going to put it, you can put it right down the center, but this is not going to sit right on the center. Okay? Because I wanted this to center on the card, not this piece. Okay? So the whole open piece. So I take note of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, I don't want to go here and I don't want to go here. So I'm just going to put myself some tape right there on that piece, because that's all going to get covered there in the center. And then I'm going to bring this in and center that up how I want it. And now I don't have to worry about being over on any direction on that adhesive. Okay, I don't have to worry about gluing my card shut. Okay, so now let's take this little piece here. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to put this in here. So I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glue on my post. I don't want to get crazy. It's very thin. If you're worried you got too much, put it down on your silicone mat. And now you see why we put the grass down here, right? So we've got that. And I'm just going to stick that right there. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. And then we're going to add this. Because this is the inside of the card, I'm going to keep this flat. And when I go to close this, I want to make sure that I don't stick that out, so it's going to show. So I'm going to put this on with a couple of glue dots. And I think I'm going to be fine there. Yep. So I'm going to just put my house this direction. And then we'll do the bee tree. And we'll go this direction. Okay. And I forgot to stamp the honey pot. Let's see, did I pre-stamp that just to save some time? Let's look. Okay, this one's going without the honey pot. All right, it's fine. We can go ahead now and add this to our card, and we're going to pop that up. So I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. And that finishes off that one. I'm going to put one on Piglet's head there, of the minis. And then I'll put another large one here. And yes, it's probably overkill on the Stampin' Dimensionals, but I know it's not going to get squished in the mail. Okay, so we'll just put this right here. And now we're ready to finish off that sentiment. So again, we're going to fussy cut this. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of a bubble border around it. This piece is actually easier to cut because you've already done your bubble cut, or you've already done your cut, so you don't have to make those decisions. And now our sentiment is ready to go on, and we're going to add that with a couple of dimensionals, and we're almost done. All right, so then we're just going to put this up here. All right, now my sentiment stands out a little bit more with that little bit of pecan pie border. And the final piece for this is some embellishments. Now, you could use the new 26 to 28 in color butterflies, and that would be great if you already had them on hand. They are on back order. I want you to know they're due back in next week. So we've got those. Or if you were fortunate enough to have some of the tiny bee trinkets before Stampin' Up! Discontinued them last month, that is what I'm going to use. I'm not sure why they discontinued them. I think it was a little premature. But it wasn't my choice. So I'm just going to fold that glue dot in half, and then I'm going to take a bee, and with my take your pick tool, I'm going to stick that right on that glue dot, move to the next glue dot, fold that in half, and then we'll repeat that process. Let's find a bee that's upright. And then finally, we'll do that one more time. I'm going to fold that over in half. Use my paper to help me with that. And then add my bee trinket. Okay. And then we'll add some little bees. Because what is a Pooh card without bees? I don't know. So let's put one of these up here. And then we'll put the last one down here. And there you have the card. Okay, so that's what you have. All right, let's clean up. We'll get started on the next project. Put the lid on that so those don't go flying everywhere. Oh, and let's close this up. I'll show you the envelope here. And, oh. I could clean up just a few things. Put things away so they don't get lost. Okay, come on, get back in there. Here is the envelope. So I took from the address to you that piece that looks like a sign. Stamped in the honey pot and the bees. Excuse me. And there is our finished coordinated set. Ah, thanks you guys. I'm glad you like that. For anyone of my customers who is purchasing the Silly Old Bear Sweet, there will be a small package of a few of these bee trinkets included for you. Okay, let's get on with card number 2. Now, card number 2 moves to a whole different suite of products. And for this one, well, it's actually not a suite. It is a suite, but I'm not using the whole suite. So I'm going to be using the bundle Boutique Blossoms, stamp and die set, and then I'll be using Scalloped Blooms, stamps and dies. This is a set. These sets, Stampin' Up! Has told us will be around for a full year. We're also going to be using those 26 to 28 in color butterflies. And primarily the new ink pads. So I've got Hydrangea Hue, Peaceful Pine, Crisp Cantaloupe, and Barely Blush here. That's our color palette. All right. So we've got those. Our card base is black, basic black, and for this one, it's going to be a landscape. So I've cut it at 4 1/4 by 11 and scored it at 5 1/2. This is my preferred way for landscape cards because instead of going like this and falling on your mantle, they'll sit like this. Okay, so I've got that. Now to that, I'm going to add a piece of Barely Blush. And this is the 2-tone cardstock. But before we can add that, we're going to do some stamping. Okay, so let's bring in our stamps. And make a little switch here. And in the Boutique Blossoms, there is this image right here, and we're going to use that with the Barely Blush ink. And I'm going to take this, and remember this is landscape, and I'm going to randomly stamp. I'm basically making my own designer series paper here. And you may not be able to see that because Barely Blush is just that. It's very, very subtle. Just going to put a few more of those. Add another little bit there, maybe a little bit there. Okay, so there is our background. Okay, so we're finished with that color. And this then we can add to our cardstock. Okay, so we're just going to take this, run that along my silicone mat, okay, and then we're going to place this on. This piece of 2-tone is 4 inches by 5 1/4. It's your standard base layer for an A2 card. All right, then we need a piece of basic white, and I'm using a 1/4 sheet here. And what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our images. So I need 1 large flower, 2 of the medium flowers, 2 sets of the 3 leaf stamp. That's okay. I need 2 of the single leaves. And I need 1 of the flower buds. Okay? Now you have options here. You can take the time and color those all in with your Stampin' Blends. That'll be great. Or you can color them in with your stamps. Wow, what did I do with that? Oh, I put it away. I'm like, where'd my stamp positioner go? So the brand new stamp positioner that was a kit inclusion a couple of months back is now available for everyone to purchase. So I'm going to use this. This is just going to make it a little bit faster for me. And I'm going to take this piece of cardstock and I'm going to stick this right into this corner thing that I have. You can, this is a sticky mat. You can do it however, if you don't have these, just stick it up here along your edges. But I do have this corner holder, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to put these on here just so my cardstock doesn't move. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these leaf. This is a leaf filler. That's what I like to call them, a leaf filler. Or a filler stamp. And I'm going to place that right there. Then I'm going to take the buds. I'm going to put them on. And if you have trouble with the photopolymer stamp sticking to your skin, take your pick tool and gently hold that down. And then, oh, you guys, I did not realize. Oh, no, that's the other one. Never mind. Okay, so then we've got the tri-leaf here. And I'm going to put this in here. And what this does is it helps me line it up and take a look at it. Makes two-step stamping just a little bit easier, but I could just go for it. Okay, those are my basic pieces. Okay, I'm going to give that a quick push. Oh, I forgot those. That's okay. I got all the green, well, I missed one of the greeneries here. That's okay. We're going to do this. I'm going to leave this one off. Hang on. Where did my little greenery piece go? Man, I hope I didn't, nope, I didn't lose it. This is what I meant to do. Right here. Put my little greenery piece there. I'm going to pick that up. Okay. Then I'm going to take my Peaceful Pine ink, and thanks to my friend Laura, I'm going to fold that over so that I've got that. And then I'm just going to ink that up. Okay. Close that up. Flip it over and put it down. Put these pegs in here. And then I'm just going to give that a press. Oh, I put the wrong one on there. Ugh. Oops. That's okay. Let's fix it. Easy to do. We'll just do that. And quite frankly, you could stamp those all in. Oh. Huh. Probably better put the stamp and pick it up. Thank you. And then we'll ink it. Okay? Now, I did not ink that well. And I apparently didn't have my plate right. It's okay. Okay, you guys, just put it down. Put it down. There we go. There we go. All right. This is just to show you anyway, so it's okay. Then I would clean those off with my chamois. And I've got an extra block right here. I don't want to lose these, so I'm just going to set these on this block and give them a good press in. Okay. And then I'm going to take my big flower and put this down like that. Make sure my Stampin' Up! Logo is closest to me and so I can read it, which is what I didn't do on the one leaf. So I want this one to be in Hydrangea Hue. So I'm just going to give that a quick little twist and a tap tap. I'll put those on the pegs, line that up, give that a good press, clean that off, put this on a block, and then, oh, I should have done that one. It's okay. We'll go back. Then I need to do these, okay? So I'm going to pick that up. For this, I'm going to use Crisp Cantaloupe. Okay. And then turn this around the right way, ink that up. Okay, now that's one way to do that. Or you could take the block. Let me take this off. Put that on. Open this up. Twist, twist, tap, tap. Line this up this way. And there you go. Okay? And you can do that with all of your images, okay? So what we need to do for this one is we need to find this little stamp here. And I'm going to take this one, and I want Hydrangea Hue for this. So I'm going to take the buds, and I'm going to ink that up. And I'm going to get that. Okay, and then to finish these off, this is if you don't have or don't want a stamp positioner, then you can just do it this way. Depending on how good you are with these. If you're not a very good two-stepper, the stamp positioner tool is the way to go. See, I didn't get that one very good. All right. So then I would do this one in green, but we don't, in Peaceful Pine, but we don't need to do that because, of course, you know me. I already have that done. Okay. So let's go ahead. Stick this over here, out of the way. And let's bring in those pieces. Okay, we have the coordinating dies to cut those out. All right. So you've got the large die, the large flower die. I need to mark these so I'm not doing this. This one's pretty easy. And then you've got even the one to cut this, and this has a little hole so that you can look through and see the stem. And then you've got the tri-leaf. And you've got the single leaf. Okay, so you would run all those through the die cut machine and cut them out. And then you would have all these pieces. Okay, so let's bring back in that card base. And we're going to put a flower here. And put a flower here. I want to put this one under here like so. Put one of these up here. Put one of these down here. And then we'll take our single leaves and put them over here and over here. Kind of like that. And our bud will go up here like this. Okay? So I'm going to start by taking my bud. Put a little bit of liquid glue on the stem. Okay. And I'm going to slide that under that bigger stamp, kind of where I want it. Like so. I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to glue this down. And I'm not going to glue all the way to the edge because I want to stick that leaf under there. So I've got that, and really what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down here and I'm not going to press down there. And then we're going to take this, stick this, and I forgot to do this. So let's get that done. We'll do that. And then we're going to stick this under here. Before we put that glue on, let's just give it a little press with our, for these I'm going to use the glue dots because one, I can pull these glue dots back out pretty easily if it doesn't end up where I want it to be. Okay. Now for this one, this is going to go kind of up and down. So at this point, I need to put this one on dimensionals. And I'm going to keep my dimensionals in the center so that I can tuck my leaves and things underneath. So I'm going to put this like this. And then we'll get this piece. And I'm going to put a glue, a dimensional over here, but kind of in so I can get this. I want to put this leaf here. So let's go ahead and get our glue dot. And for this one, I'm going to put my glue dot on the front. And I'm actually going to move this because I need to do this first. I'll put this one in here like this, and then I can get it in as far as I like. And then I can add that dimensional and hold that down. And then we'll put another one up here. That will be enough to hold this on. Put a tiny bit of glue over here because it's going to go up over that one. Okay, so we've got that. And we'll take our 3-leaf again. Take our glue dot, curl those petals. We'll stick this under here, like so. Nope, don't like that. Let's turn that, there we go, maybe like that a little bit. There we go, I kind of like that better. All right. So there you have the basic shape. of your florals. And now we need to add a sentiment. So I struggled with the sentiment on this and finding just the right label for that. Excuse me. And what I came up with was to alter one of the Scallop Blooms labels. So I'm going to take the Scallop Blooms and I'm going to take this scalloped rectangle. All right. I'm going to take a piece of basic white cardstock here. And I'm going to give myself plenty of room. But I've got to cut this so it's not so wide. So I need it to go through the mini. So I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. Okay. We'll grab the mini machine. And before I stamp my sentiment, I'm going to alter this. Okay. So let's get our plates. And then we're going to take this and this. And we're going to put this on like this. Okay, then I'm going to put that in. I'm going to just tape that down so it doesn't move. I'm going to bring this down a bit. Stick my plate in here. I only want to stick my... I'm going to take this down to 3 scallops. It's 4 scallops wide, tall, and I only want it to be 3. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to stop it before that 3rd scallop ends, okay? So I'm just going to put my top plate part way, and then I'm going to run that through. Okay, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip it around. And see how I've partially cut that? Now, I'm going to take and put this where I want it to be on the 3 scallops, but I'm going to put that right back, and that's going to sit right into those already cut grooves. Then I'm going to give that. And again, I'm not going to go all the way because I don't want to double cut, so I'm only going to cut to the 1st scallop because I already cut the first 2, or the bottom 2, with the 1st roll. Okay, and then when I pull this out and take that off, now I have this 3 scallop versus 4 scallops. 3 versus 4, okay? 4 scallops was too wide for what I wanted. So now I'm going to take my Memento Tuxedo black ink, and from the Scalloped Blooms stamp set, I'm going to take You're a Blessing. And I'm going to ink that up in Memento. And I'm going to center that up, stamp it down, and now I've got my sentiment label. And we'll take some Stampin' Dimensionals for that. Add that up here. Okay. And the final touch, again, we're going to put some of the In Color butterflies. And for this one, I chose to go with the Golden Glow. So I'm going to grab a large Golden Glow butterfly and then a small one. And then I'm going to take another small one and I'm going to put it down here. Okay, when I'm happy with that, I'm going to put the cap on my Take Your Pick tool, give those a good press, just so they don't fall off. And then for the inside of the card, I've taken that flower and the stem. I stamped my flower and then I masked it off and stamped the leaf. And then we're going to add this to our card, some Stampin' Seal. And finally, our envelope. Okay, everybody, that's what I have for you tonight. I hope you like that. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen so I can see the comments. So sorry that Facebook has not fixed that. Hi, Cynthia. That's a great, oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So glad you like those. I hope you liked those products that we've used tonight, and that you'll consider adding them to your collection if you haven't already today. All right, everybody, I will not be live on Thursday night's YouTube. I will be attending varsity district track for the middle school. Abigail has qualified in both the 100 and 200 meter hurdles as a 6th grader, I might say. So I'll be at districts watching her run, and I will not be live. So I'll be back here again Tuesday night at 7 p.m. See everybody then. Thanks so much for joining me. Good night.